Okay, this is the weather model discussion here for Monday, October the 3rd. How's it going, everyone? William Cole here in the Storm Studio. We've been enjoying beautiful weather here in North Texas through the weekend, even today, Monday. Lots of sun out there, cool mornings, warm afternoons. That will essentially continue to be the trend as we go through the rest of the work week. There are weather changes on the way. In fact, I've locked onto a couple cold fronts that are going to be inbound. We're going to talk about that here over the next few minutes. Of course, this is our weather model discussion. This is a little bit different than what we do on the air. This is giving you kind of the behind the scenes perspective, and we're going to be looking at a lot of the raw data, right, that we look at here in the Storm Studio as we put the forecast together. We put this on our social media, both Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So again, if you're seeing it on there, feel free to leave a comment, a question. Also be sure to give us a like as well. We do this typically Monday through Friday, right around 3 p.m., running just a couple minutes late today. But okay, let's go and get started. Like I mentioned, a lot to talk about. A little bit going on in the tropics. We'll key in on that as well. And in fact, let's go and start just with our surface chart. Again, a couple things going on. Number one, the big storm system off to our northwest, same storm system I was talking about Friday of last week. It has not moved at all. It is still stalled up there. That will eventually bring a cold front into our area by this following Friday. And for this weekend, for Saturday, it's going to knock our highs into the upper 70s. I think you're going to like that. We also have the remnants of Ian just off the eastern seaboard there. You can see out around the Jersey area, PA, even our nation's capital. It's another day they're seeing some rain. And then also notice the little red hurricane icon moving into the west coast of Mexico. There will be a little bit of tropical moisture lifting up, but believe it or not, that's not going to make it anywhere near North Texas. Simply put, just down across parts of South Texas. I'll show you why coming up momentarily. The subtropical jet is down there. Then again, it's just keeping that at bay. Now, on the flip side of things, the main jet stream has gone well to the north up into Canada. And one of the reasons why neither one of those other storm systems I was talking about, the one to the northwest or Ian, the reason why those are stalled and not moving, the jet stream's gone to the north, and simply put, there's nothing to move those. The jet stream will begin to come back, and that's when our weather will begin to get a little more active coming up. Again, we'll talk about that over the next few minutes. Otherwise, just a quick check of temperatures again here at 3 o'clock. A lot of 80s, even some upper 70s out in the Permian Basin. Look at Midland out there, 79, 84 here at DFW. I forecasted 85, so we'll be within the ballpark. Might even tap an 86 though. We typically still have time to go up by a degree or two. Okay, from there, let's go and take a look at the raw data. And this is when we'll just kind of run through this additional data. And so first of all, we're just looking at the radar composite, right? So number one, you can see down in the deep south of Texas, there are a few showers down there, right? Like down around Brownsville, Padre Island, locations like that. They'll continue to have some low end rain and shower opportunities over the next several days, again, as that tropical moisture from Hurricane Orlean continues to lift off to the north. Then we've also got some post-monsoonal moisture. Monsoon season technically is over, but there's a little bit of Pacific moisture lifting up. So the New Mexico, Rockies, even the Front Range, even parts of the high deserts out there picking up, again, some rain today. And it's a little unusual for them this time of year to still see precip, but again, simply put, they're getting it. So back here a little closer to home, this is the visible satellite. And again, anywhere you're seeing the area of dark gray or black, clear sky. In fact, generally sunny North Texas, Oklahoma, up through Missouri, Kansas, all those locations. You can see some cloud cover down in the deep south of Texas. Again, that's that tropical moisture feed in the subtropical jet coming through. And then again, you can also see some bubbling cumulus again out there in the New Mexico Rockies. And again, that has to do with some of the thunderstorm activity that they're seeing out there today. So here's a look at the upper air chart. This is always very important. In fact, this is truly almost the most important part of the forecast. You can see the dip. That's the big storm system off to the northwest that's completely stalled. That is the system that will eventually bring us the front by this upcoming Friday. There's the remnants of Ian, of course no longer named Ian, but you can see that closed off donut hole. That is the area of low pressure. Most of the precip spinning off the coast, but some of it's still pinwheeling, if you will, back into parts of Jersey, PA, and again even our nation's capital looking pretty wet today. And then there's the ridge, right? You can see kind of that the trough inverted. The ridge is an area of high pressure. That's why our weather is so calm here in North Texas. Sunny skies, light winds, nothing going on. It's the old summer heat dome, not necessarily heat dome in this situation, but it is a ridge. And it's one of the reasons as we go through the week, our temperatures will slowly climb to back up near 90 by this upcoming Thursday. So like I mentioned, the jet stream will eventually get back involved, and again, those weather pieces of the puzzle will begin to move, and I'll show you that coming up momentarily. So because we're in such a stagnant pattern, here's a quick check of the convective outlook. And again, you can see officially from the Storm Prediction Center, it's a quiet weather day. There's a very marginal risk of a few severe storms out in Arizona today, rare out there. And again, the main concern with that would be some hail, right? A low-end opportunity of a few hail storms out there just north of Phoenix. No real risk of tornadoes or any, at least, organized wind threat out there. But again, any of those storms could still be gusty. Then as we move on to day 2, talking about tomorrow, no organized severe weather anticipated. Again, that's pretty rare. And then even as we go on to day 3, no organized severe weather anticipated. This is our secondary severe weather season, not just in North Texas, but around the nation. And again, without the jet stream being involved in the weather here, simply put, I mean, it's a very, very quiet pattern for most of the nation. So a quick peek at the tropics. And I want to talk first of all about Orlene, and she's now only a tropical storm. She continues to weaken rapidly. She's moving through the Mexico mountains. In fact, now she's down to tropical depression. She was a up to Category 4 hurricane over the weekend. This morning at 9 a.m. when I was on, she still had winds of 100 miles per hour. At noon, her winds were down to 75, and now just after 3 p.m. you can see her winds at 35 miles per hour. So now depression. Again, as she's moving through those mountains right there, right on the western coast of Mexico, she just simply put is being shredded completely. And then we've got Payne. This just happened as well. Payne with winds of 40 miles per hour, tropical storm. He's going to take a similar path right up into Mexico, not really being a big player. He will also be shredded there in the mountains and all that activity. South Texas may get a little bit of moisture out of it, the Rio Grande Valley. But for us, that's simply it. Here in North Texas, it is just not going to do anything for our weather at all, unfortunately, because as we know, we really do need some rain. So then looking out here in the Atlantic, typically an area we're a little more concerned with. We do have one wave that just came off the coast of Africa. It's got a 60% probability of formation over the next 48 hours, 70% over the next 5 days. This will likely at least turn into a tropical storm, most likely a Hurricane 1, but it's essentially lifting due north, right? So it's not going to pose any threat to any U.S. land interest whatsoever. Again, it just goes straight off to the north. We'll keep our eye on it, but in the grand scheme of things, we'll kind of let that one go. Again, it's just not going to be a player for our weather whatsoever. Then we have another area disturbed weather here, and this is going to be moving into the Caribbean as we go over the next couple of days. Right now, the Hurricane Center over the next 5 days has a 30% opportunity of development. The data does not look very promising on this. Normally this time of year, when you see this, you would become a little concerned, maybe getting a little worked up. Not so much in this situation. Let me go and show you why. And I'm going to take you here, this is the raw data, the raw computer model data that we're going to look at. And again, this is the European model, which by the way, we forecast here in the Storm Studios off the European, but the European was the outlier with Ian, right? Forecasting south of Tampa. It was a perfect track. I mean, the European 9 times out of 10 just outperforms every other model you can look at hands down, right? I mean, there's some situations where you begin to look at the high res data when you're only out 48 hours, right? We understand that, but just in the medium range part of your forecast, if you're not basing it off the Euro, chances are you're going to have a busted forecast. I still see a lot of people, forecast off the GFS, and that's good and fine, but the GFS, out of all the models, and unfortunately that's our American model, right? The global forecast system, it's the worst performing model. Statistically, when all the models are ranked, it's at the bottom. And so when I still see people, talking about the GFS or using the GFS, in the back of my mind, I'm just like, you're wasting your time, you're wasting our time. It's just, unfortunately, and they've tried to make a lot of improvements to it. I think they're on version 7 right now, if I remember correctly, but it's just, it seems like it gets worse with every update. So that's just my little opine there on the computer model data. But back to what we're talking about here, again, looking at the European data. So again, if you're a model fan, right, and you're looking through it, I think even on Pivotal Weather now, I think the Euro data is free. You used to have to pay for the Euro everywhere, but I think a lot of it's free. So if you're looking at model data, just remember, especially in the medium range or you're looking globally, whatever it is, tend to switch over to that ECMWF. Look at the Euro data and don't ever get caught up in the GFS. Even if you're looking at our local weather here, don't get caught up in that GFS. Okay, so I've circled kind of the area we're watching, but this is why we're watching, right? So as I move this through time, you can see that little blip of blue, right? That's an area of vorticity, an area of spin, an area of low pressure. There it is. It's moving into the Caribbean. This is normally when we'd kind of be holding our breath. We're wondering, oh man, what's going to happen here? Typically, this would be pretty serious. But look at that. As I roll you through the next 10 days, it just gets sheared apart. It doesn't do anything. It's worth keeping our eye on for sure, because this is still the time of year that right there can get real active, but there's just been so much shear, and there continues to be that shear in that area that it just doesn't look favorable for development. So we're really going to keep our eye on it. But again, that would just be great news. Again, Puerto Rico obviously got hit earlier. I mean, there's issues down there already. So again, if we can just get with a tropical wave, not even anything named, nothing like that moving through, again, in the grand scheme of things, everything would be a-okay. Okay, so from there, let's go and bring it back home, and we'll take a look at the northern hemisphere. Similar story, looking for dips, active weather, or ridges. This is at 18,000 feet. We call this the 500 millibar chart. Again, the areas of blue or green you're seeing, that's vorticity or areas of spin, right? So going forward in time, here comes our storm system. You can see it moving through. It's in the Corn Belt. That's our trough coming down. But again, this is still out not until Friday, right? It's stalled until Friday. Here it comes. It'll bring a front through the area. I'll show you the front coming up. Then as we go forward in time, look at that. We have a series in northwesterly flow, everything diving out of Canada from the northwest. We have a series of troughs coming down, and it's really this last trough you see right there that really begins to energize, and see the brighter colors even moving down towards Oklahoma. That's going to bring a pretty decent fetch of Canadian air down into a good part of the central and northern plains, and I think even here in North Texas may drop our temperatures. Right now I've got some mid-70s, may drop us into the lower 70s for highs. That's in about 10 days. So that would be our first real deal taste of fall. Let me go and show you that a different way, right? So this is 850 millibars. This is just above the surface, right? We're looking for true air mass change. And as we do that, again, steady as she goes over the next several days, here comes our first trough, and here comes that first front. You see it moving on down. Here it goes. So here in North Texas, it basically stalls. In North Texas, you can see we get some of the yellows, right? So on Saturday, I've got us at a high of 78, so we will get some upper 70s for highs. It'll kind of be a taste of fall, right? Again, for the OU game, maybe just heading out to the fair, whatever, Saturday really looks good, surprisingly good for that game. Then going forward in time, we slowly rebound the temperatures, but here comes that next trough. And take a look at this bad boy coming down. Look at that surge of Canadian air. The main batch of Canadian air stays well to our north, right up in the upper Midwest, the northern plains. This is at day 10. That's right as the front begins to just move into North Texas, right? At this point, we're truly only getting the tip. But again, you can see a little bit of that green trying to move in. So we're going to get a true air mass change with that, right? I think, again, right now, even though I've got some mid-70s, we may be even able to dial that down into the lower 70s. We'll get a better read on it. We'll get some solid data on that soon. But again, the way it looks right now, that will definitely be at least a cooler air mass moving in. You don't want to say colder, definitely not colder, but it will be cooler for sure. Let's look at some precip opportunity with that. And again, as we go over the next several days, we know we need rain. Here comes the first front. There's some rain in the Panhandle, some rain in Oklahoma. And we get nothing here in North Texas, but here we go. Here comes a second front. There may be an opportunity of even some thunderstorm activity with this as well, right? We're going to have the jet stream diving down with this. The trough itself, right? Let me go and show you this. The trough itself is neutral. It's not a negative or it's not a positive tilt, right? If you have a negative tilt trough, that's when you, especially in the spring, can be a little more concerned with severe weather, right? So here's the trough coming down. Let me just go and kind of mark on this and show you what I'm talking about, right? So here's the trough. It's neutral. It's not necessarily negative, right? So we're even looking at the aspect of maybe some severe weather with this now, right? And when we're looking out 10 days, we truly have limited products to use, right? As this gets closer in time, and especially as we get into the high-res data, we have all kinds of different products. We can really nail it down, right? But right now, just looking at it from a 10-day distance, right, on the horizon, again, we don't necessarily have a negative tilt trough, which would have been conducive for severe weather, but we do have the jet stream. In this situation, the colors, that's the jet stream coming back down, energizing in Oklahoma, but close enough to North Texas that we are getting some flow with that, right? The other thing I want to look at here, again, just talking about the opportunity of severe weather, is the instability. And let me go and click this. And what I want to do is look at the instability. And this is what we call CAPE, or convective available potential energy, is the long term. You'll never hear anyone say that. Again, you could call it CAPE, or again, just instability. And so we'll go forward in time here. And there's, again, we've got a bit of an unstable air mass. This isn't crazy, right? This isn't crazy, but again, we're getting instability again up around 2,000 joules. So I mean, technically speaking, there's going to be quite a bit of instability around as well. So the opportunity of thunderstorms, number one, is going to be there. And I think just climatologically speaking, this time of year when you get the jet stream involved, you've got the instability here. I think there's going to be an opportunity of some severe weather. Now we'll continue, and that's just a broad brush statement right now. We'll continue to kind of refine that and drill down on that again as we go forward in time, because again, we're kind of looking over the horizon. But things to me look at least severe weather would be possible. Okay, we'll just put it at that for right now. Let's also quickly look, and again, we're not talking necessarily about high-end severe weather, but again, a few severe thunderstorm warnings I think would be in the realm of possibilities. We'll drill down on that further. Again, it could be that there's a greater opportunity of severe weather, or there could be a lesser opportunity, right? Again, we're just looking at the horizon, but in the back of our mind, when you're forecasting this far out, those are just things you keep in mind, right? So that's where we are at this stage. Okay, so going forward, this is future rainfall. And so, yeah, you can see towards the end, the Euro putting, maybe a ½ inch of rain, maybe a little more. Again, if we're dealing with thunderstorms, a lot of it would probably be localized. It wouldn't necessarily be a wave coming on through. So we'll watch it, but again, there's at least we can see here an opportunity of some rain and some thunderstorm activity showing up. Okay, let's go and put some numbers to this now. And so here we go. So the Euro, for Saturday, the Euro is not as bullish, right? Earlier in the day, the Euro had the high for Saturday at like 76. And I'm going to show you the blend of models, what I normally forecast off. So the Euro is saying that front it's going to be stalling pretty much as it moves into North Texas. Hopefully it gets through DFW, especially for the OU game, or if you're going to the State Fair, whatever it is, or whatever else you're doing, because that would be really nice, right? That would be great conditions. 81 would still not be bad. We know that. Then we do rebound the temperatures, and it's spiking the temperatures on Wednesday right ahead of that next front. A lot of times when you get these big change of air mass fronts coming through, you'll get a big jump in temperatures the day before. I don't think we're going to 96. That's going to be overly done, but we'll probably be around 90 again that Wednesday, just ahead of the front coming on through, okay? But here's what I want to do. This is the blend of models. And take a look at this. This is the blend of models. And so this is all the data put together, but it's weighted. And the first couple of days, the first 48 hours, the high res data is also thrown into this, right? So again, 85 tomorrow, probably a little bit warmer. In fact, I've got 86. I think we're going to top out today, 85, 86. So again, tomorrow, kind of using a persistent forecast model here, there's really no change, but we have the ridge. So really day by day, you can probably add a degree or two. So tomorrow, that's probably just a degree or two, maybe too cool, right? So we'll call tomorrow right around 86. Again, Wednesday 87, Thursday 89, all that sounds about right. There's also the change on Saturday reflected on this as well. That again, right now I've still got a 78. We're going to hold it there for today. We'll see what the data for tomorrow shows before we flip-flop that. But again, basically it's showing that front. It's going to be melting as it moves its way in, right? So then we rebound back into the 80s, and then here comes that next front. Again, truly, the true arrival of that air mass is just off of this chart, right? So you can see on Thursday trending to 78. What would the temperature be on Friday? I think with the latest data we have, again, just extrapolating out a little bit, there could be some lower to more in the way of mid-70s around the area by that point in time. Again, with that opportunity by Tuesday and Wednesday, even some rain, some storms, and possibly, like we talked about, even some severe weather in the area as well. So I know that's a lot to go over. We try and condense all of that, right? That's normally a couple hours of work here in the Storm Studio. Again, just gathering our info that we need to do throughout the day and looking over all the data. In fact, we really didn't even look at everything, obviously, but just again, for you folks out there, it's just kind of a glimpse of what we're looking at. And as opposed to just clicking through the TV graphics, this gives you some actual raw data. And again, kind of the thought process behind the forecast as well, because we have a couple asterisks on the forecast, right? Saturday, again, the temperature looks a little more variable now. It could be a little bit warmer. does the front maybe stall further to the north and we're quite a bit warmer on Saturday? That's a big deal. Again, a lot of folks coming in town for that OU game. I'm just mentioning that there's several other things going on in town this weekend. So that forecast is a big deal. And then also, again, kind of the arrival of our first real fall cold front. What exactly will that entail? Could there be severe weather? Again, where will that temperature profile be? Again, there's a lot of things that we're going to be tracking, you can see, over the next several days. And there's also a lot of very quiet weather in between all of that as well. So that's where we are, folks. Again, thanks for joining us on the weather model discussion on this Monday. Again, like I mentioned, if you're seeing it on social media, give us a like. Also, feel free to leave a question, comment below, and we'll be sure to answer those tomorrow. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll go and cut it off. I think we went about 20 minutes here, so a little over time. But again, enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the great weather over the next several days as well.